this, and I request all the people sitting over here, we all are equally or more intelligent sitting over here, so you can be part of this. You can put your points also if you have anything. If you want to ask anything, please go ahead and do that, so that it will be more and more interactive, right? So first, quickly, if I request, very short, in one line, if you people introduce yourselves, it will be easier for audience to connect. So, sir, aapse. Thank you so much. One line is too short. I am not used to speaking in one line. I usually speak for 8 hours straight. Vipul Kochar. I sit on all sides of table as in an investor, a startup founder or co-founder, and also mentor and so on. That's, I guess, good enough for one line. Thanks, Vipul. I'm Abhay Mathur. I am a consultant and investor and a mentor for startups. So that's very short and sweet about me. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ghanshyam Ahuja. I'm from Singapore. I run two ventures. One is called VSaaS. VSaaS stands for Value for SaaS, Software as a Service. It's a place where I earn money, and I have a fund called Incubate where I invest my money. Incubate comes from three words: think, innovate, incubate, which is a Singapore-based investment firm, and also we are a SEBI-registered AIF fund out of India, having invested in more than 30 companies so far. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nivedita Suresh, founder and CEO of Leap Ahead India, where we help Indian entrepreneurs to scale across globally. So our tagline is think global and scale beyond borders.
Yeah. So wonderful. Thank you so much. So let's start the conversation and we'll discuss on this line that, I mean, we all sitting over here are very much aware of Indian startup ecosystem, how it's growing, how dynamic it is being. And there is also a shift in 2040, 24 or 25, you people are seeing. Here we're talking about the global perspective and people have great exposure of working with multiple countries and startups. So, Vipul sir, आपसे शुरू करते हैं that, what do you think? Do you see the opportunity in global connection, global network, global transactions, and do you see any barrier also? And I wish everyone to touch on this line. So please. Thank you so much. I'll give you a brief background of what I've seen happen over a period of time. I am president of Indian Testing Board, doing software testing, right? So testing meaning software testing. And I represent India, so I travel all over the globe to participate in these meetings. And this is happening for 20 plus years now. What I found very interesting initially was that, the Indians were so insular. We were just looking at ourselves, our market, and our aspirations were limited to India. Never thought that we would have a global business. Very few people really thought of having global business and so on. Even thought leadership in terms of work that we do, there were very few who would want to make that. Even our authors, for example, wouldn't really want to cater to an international audience, generally speaking. So this is the kind of India that I saw starting my professional journey in 90s. Things changed, 92 as the watershed year, and we started getting more exposure. We've been a little slow in thinking global, that's what I would say, but that has begun to change now. It will probably take a few more years, maybe a decade or two, be fully integrated into the globe, basically having thought for the global market right from the word go. But I, already see a lot of opportunities. I already see a lot of exposure, travel, and people. So I would take name of a very interesting entrepreneur here, Kunal Changiramani. He probably started his entrepreneurial journey at 13, 14 years old. Sold his company by the time he was 18, and with that money he went to US
And for 1 year, he did a lot of short courses in various universities across the US, trying to understand global market so that his next startup could actually be something that would cater to global market. That is a perfect example in my eyes of someone who has started to think globally. I see more of that happening now, and I hope much more of that will happen.
One for this, if you could add something.
Yeah, I have interacted with a lot of startups during the last 4 5 years, and I see a trend change. So when I was a consultant working for an MNC, a US-based MNC, we had a lot of inquiry about what's happening in India, what's the market trend in India. International companies were interested in knowing more about India. Most of our clients were from outside India. The trend I see is changing now. The youth now, especially in India, is now not, as Mr. Kochar was saying, not now only looking at India as the market, but they are willing to and they're confident enough of exploring international waters, international markets, and they're willing to test that. And this brings a very important aspect that although there is inspiration, but that inspiration needs to be backed by the right kind of support and right kind of infrastructure. The government is providing a lot of support from its side, but companies like these platforms that they provide, where you know it helps the startups navigate the legality, the compliances, the uncertainty of the international markets, the collaborations that they need, the right linkages that they do. And I think I see a lot of companies now leveraging that kind of service, like I know the one provided by Leap Ahead India, Marwadi Catalyst. I think they're providing a lot of support, a much required support for these startups who are now looking outside India, because India they already understand. But outside, there's still a lot of ambiguity and a lot of miles that they need to cover. So I think it's a very interesting topic that we are dealing today, and it has a lot of significance in the current startup world. And it not only holds true for India, but even international startups are also looking at the India market and the investors in India. And I think a platform that provides that kind of a support to both of them is a great initiative at this point of time.
Ranjanji, I would like to add one question so that you can cover that as well. You're based out of Singapore, right?
Yeah.
And of course, very dynamic ecosystem, mostly on tech in Singapore. So, how do you people see Indian startup ecosystem, Indian startups? If you can add that, that will be helpful for us.
Interesting. Let me take you all for a next 2 minutes movie journey from late 90s to early 2008. Fortunately, my journey of life started with Global, a company called Global Telesystems Limited, when I was in India. That time it was reverse. Global Telesystem was buying tech products from overseas and selling in India.
So, you're designed to be part of this panel, right?
Yeah, looks like. When I heard, that's why I told Sushil. Come to the point, I was in Delhi and I already moved from my home city, which is Nagpur. And I was very clear that if I'm already out from Nagpur, let me not work any other place. Let's work outside. Also, I was very clear to work only in Singapore. And the reason was very clear. Singapore gives you best of the both worlds, east and west. So quickly to take you to the next journey, I started working for this company. Very important for people to know here some history. SSI, if you know three IT training companies, SSI, EPTEC, and NIIT. SSI was number three company by the way. Look at the guts of the founder, Suresh Kalapati. He had a small stock exchange software for Ahmedabad and Mumbai. And he went all the way to NASDAQ when NASDAQ was having plans for global expansion. And we became a company which was doing NASDAQ's South Asia expansion software. I went to Singapore through that, and that journey started from there. Come to the next part, to your point, Vipulji. A lot of Indian companies were so satisfied with US market. I started working with Cognizant. I was the first employee of Cognizant. Really proud to be part of that in 2006. Cognizant was never focused on Asian market. They were happy with US market, as you would have seen in all IT companies. Come to the dot-com era and a lot of market crashes. they didn't have any choice but to come to Asian market. So that's where the company like Cognizant has to finally become real global. They were actually not global in my sense. People were talking about only US-based company. So that time Asian expansion for most of the tech companies started. I have been fortunate to be part of that era. Come to the next level from 2010 onwards. One of the first stop for any Indian startup scene started in maybe way back in 2010 or maybe just before, was obviously Singapore. Look at the way companies were looking at global expansion. Paytm, I still remember when they came to Singapore. I got to know a little later they just wanted to have a stamp of Singapore. That's it. They hired one person, happened to be my friend, and they started the office. And within 6 months they got funding from Alibaba. So expansion, global expansion that time was mere a stamp, have an office, maybe a virtual office, what is happening in Dubai and all. It's important for me to share with you all these practical aspects. And then within 1 year, they never had anyone else support. They got Alibaba funding by showing one person, sitting in Singapore. And but now, as you rightly said, people by another, things have changed. Maturity has come in. I was very proud when I landed in New York around 5, 6 years back, and I saw Zoho, Oyo names there. That was a real proud moment. Again, I got very proud within few years from now in Singapore, just 2, 3 years back, when you go to a big corporate office, when you enter to a cafe, on the cafe board, Zoho's advertisement is there. So that really gives you a proud moment as an Indian, even though I'm a Singaporean as per passport, but obviously I will always remain Indian. So that's the change. And then suddenly when you go to Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, those countries, when you hear Keka, Darwin Box, can you integrate this software with Darwin Box? So that gives you a feeling that yes, we have arrived. So I just want to share with you this whole story. Coming to your last point, what you said, Singapore, especially after the new government has come in, I mean, not a political discussion here, but the way Mr. Modi has built respect. One simple example I'll tell you. Our Singapore's father of Singapore, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, when he died, I don't know if many of you know or not, Mr. Modi came just for half a day for his funeral and went back. And that day, in those 3 days, we had a half-mast flag in India. Right? Important for me to share with you how does respect gets built in a global market. Respect from last 10 to 15 years, what I have seen, being there for last 22 years, has increased quite a lot because of these small gestures. So the point is, number one, Singapore sees India as a very, very strategic from infrastructure perspective to startups. And similarly, Indian startup companies earlier used to be seeing Singapore as a first platform for even fundraising. Now I'm seeing reverse, thanks to this city and others. People are moving back to India, which is good. I would say. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, please.
So let me start this answer by stating the fact that India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And yeah, we have high demand in sectors like AI, SaaS, fintech, and so on. I would say if someone's in some industry want to expand into a particular country, they need a strategic partner over there. They need guidance and expert mentors who can guide them to make them comfortable over there. So for that, we need them to get in touch with the right network. And as a stated a fact, people are coming to India as well. Startups are exploring Indian market as well. It's because of the strong bilateral relationship we have with different countries. Right now in Liverpool, India, we are hosting a delegate from Taiwan. Taiwan is known for semiconductor, right? So this industry, this company is there for more than 3 decades, and they wanted to expand their plant in India. So we are helping them doing it, and the CEO is here, and we are connected with a lot of state and central government and private companies as well. And one thing he said that he stated the fact that more than doing like his business from Taiwan, if he set up a plant in India, it would be easy to uh, have relationship with, because we have good bilateral relationship, and so that we can expand easily to other countries as well.
Right. Yeah. We need that. So she's founder of Deep India. Whatever question you ask, she's so person of Deep India, which is wonderful. So before I go jump to the next question, if anyone, if you have anything to ask, that will be better. If you have anything, then you can please ask. Otherwise, I'll answer the next question. Anyone? Sir, my style is different. So yeah. So because somebody, because sometimes it happens that you run out of time, so better they ask questions. If they give 20%, then I'm here to ask questions. So okay. So next question again. I'll go to this one question. Ghanshyamji, I'll ask you. I was reading one article of your story, and I see most of the biggest startups, I mean, the leading startups in Singapore, right? I mean, you name the startup and they are either in the process or already shifted to Singapore. Why it is happening? Is there any particular reason for that?
See, the very first thing is most of the reason for them coming is mostly for two reasons. One is for fundraising. Fundraising, which is repatriation of money in and out from Singapore, is much more easier than any other part of the world, is what I was told, and I have seen it myself, especially in US also it's difficult. So one is that. Second thing is Singapore is a hub for almost 8 to 9,000 multinational companies, regional headquarters or international headquarters. Like VSAT Global, my software company, we are headquartered out of Singapore, even though 90% team is outside Singapore. So that's the reason for it, and that helps you to do a quick Asia Pacific regional expansion. Also, third thing is Singapore government is very promising in terms of attracting investment and giving a lot of incentives. Tax benefits. As it is, Singapore is the lowest in tax, 17% corporate tax.
Uh, so again, sir, I'll come to you, and I just want to understand that since you have that very long back, you have been in the market. Startups with people in mind, if they want to expand globally, like
Um, Interestingly, I'm doing two things at the same time. I have a startup for which I am getting funds from outside India, and I'm investing in a company which is outside India. And both processes are so tiring. It takes energy of at least one founder continuously work for months and months along with your CFO to get everything right, spend a huge amount of money, and it's been what probably took us more than 2 months to get that money into our account, and then some more formalities, etc., to be able to utilize that money. Similarly, when I am investing, the amount of information and some things that you need to, the kind of paperwork that you need to do is really amazing. So the most important thing I would say, anybody who wants to expand from point of view of either investing or getting funds, you need to have a solid, uh, let's use the word CA, you, advisors who can tell you all the steps so that you don't fall foul of the government regulations. And have compliances, yes, compliances, and have somebody always looking at that aspect. Um, it can be very painful, but as either an investor or as a founder, this is something that I'd like to say. Keep this in mind that it is a very painful process. This is the lesson that I've been learning since last 5 years. I haven't yet fully learned those lessons.
great. So one last question from my side for all three of you, right? This is very important since I'm from Startup Global, it's an incubator with Margarita, which is a leading accelerator. So my question is, what are the key roles incubators and accelerators should play to help startups go global, attract people? I think we can start with her only because she'll be more interested answering this question. So please, please.
Yeah, I think apart from the operational aspects of documentation, compliances, network, I would like to add on a slightly more nuanced aspect, and that is understanding the cultural and diversity differences between the different nations. Because I think when you are looking at global markets,
it's not only a marriage of companies, right? You are trying to understand the person also. So you are going to a country, you should understand all the cultural nuances, the diversity aspects, because you want to be part of that country. So I think this is also an important aspect that is part of the grooming and part of the mentoring exercise, that you make that person aware of, apart from the needs and requirements from a business perspective, but also how people behave and how different uh, cultures behave to become more accommodative in that area. This is a small off the point nuance. Fully agree with you, Abhay. I think cultural aspects are very important for anyone who is doing global. But I'll take a step back here. We are fortunate to be in India. India itself has more than 100 countries in itself. If a startup comes to me and say that I want to be the number one king in half of Maharashtra, it is more than enough for me. I don't need somebody to be coming to Singapore for international expansion. Yeah. So please never ever jump on a bandwagon of global. Sorry, it's not in the favor of the same topic, but global has a different meaning. When you are moving out from your city, district, state, that itself is, I would say, global for India, the kind of population. Do you really have guts to cater to that market? Focus on that market. Tam, Sam, Som, actually, I don't even see nowadays these slides. I hate those slides. Very important is where you can tap that market very well. There are examples. I can tell you out of 30 companies, by the way, Incubate, our fund has seen 10,000 companies in the last 9 years. Only 30 companies we invested. And if somebody tells us that we don't want to expand beyond one part of India, one of the founder, I tell you, George Skin is one of our very star company out of Incubate. We connected them to Singapore Amazon that we can help you global expansion. Exactly on the he respected the decision, and at the end he said, "Sorry guys, looks like next 18 months I'm fulfilling only Indian. If you excuse me, I really wanted to learn. If anything, I'm missing for my local expansion. That's why I came, but I don't want to expand. Excuse me, and because I cannot. I don't have that scale, I don't have that the temperament currently available with me. So that's the right perspective I want to give you. If you have a right product fit enough, just be in India, just be in a state, just be in a district. No problem. Wonderful. Very, very good.
So I would say networking is a really important thing for any startups. And let me share my experience over here in India South. I met delegates from different part of the world, globe over here, and I've been talking with them for past 2 3 days. And the thing that I understand is they came here to explore India, but they couldn't able to, not everyone, but some of people couldn't able to find right person for them to, showcase and help them to be the right path. That's I think they do need the right mentors and right networking people so that they can easily expand the market to understand. As Sir said, India has sort of different states and we are diverse, right? So they have to if they have to set up a venture in India, if someone is exploring the other market, they need to know people from over the market, they need to know what's the competitors, competitors over there, who are the competitors over there, what the people expect over there. It's not like if you can expand over in India very easily, you can do that easily in other countries. That's what I.
That's really true. So we just two very important examples they can resonate with what I was talking, and let's walk the talk. I started my company out of Singapore thinking that dollar rates are better. I should be doing more business there. And 7 years I continued focusing on Singapore. When I became a SaaS, VSaaS, which is my company's name, focused on selling SaaS products and also building SaaS products, you'll be surprised. After almost 9 years of my career, I came back to India. And today, for my VSaaS business, majority of my the SaaS business, which is from Smartsheet and the Mido products, what we are selling is coming from India. Second example is Global Indian International School. I don't know, how many of you heard about that school, Global Indian International School? It's present in few cities in India. Very important for you to note this point. This guy is from Nagpur, my hometown, Atul Timunikar. He started global school in Singapore in front of me. Very first school I have seen starting. with Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan collaboration. Within 2 years, he realized Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan not required. He started his own brand. 9 schools he opened up overseas. Imagine now, 10th school when he was opening up in India, in Nagpur. My family calls me, अरे घनश्याम ये sorry for people I repeat in English, अरे घनश्याम ये स्कूल खुल रहा है ग्लोबल इंडियन इंटरनेशनल स्कूल अच्छा है क्या? मैं बोला भाई वो बंदा नागपुर से जाके बाहर जाके वापस नागपुर में स्कूल खोल रहा है. So the guy went from city in Nagpur in India, went to Singapore, started an international school and came back to India now. So I think that's important for me to share.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you very, very rightly say, I used to tell people that no, India is not one country, India is a selection of so many countries. And since I'm working with the startups from across India, so if I have to talk to investors or startups from south of India, my style will be entirely different. They will be point to point. And if I'm talking to somebody in Delhi, people here, so I have to first go here and there and then come to the point. Then conversation will be over. And this is happening here. So if someone is able to cater to entire country, they are also globally rightly set. Because you have to understand the market and everything and the nature of people. So I think we already started late, so there will be people who will be willing to connect with you people later. But still, if you have any question, we can take the question, one question. Otherwise, we can
Maybe 2 questions.
yeah. So anyone, I mean, if they're willing to, yes, 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 please. Yeah. So.
Hello, myself Utsav and I'm from Surat, Gujarat. So my question is like, what are some mistakes Indian startups doing when they are entering first time global?
So I think one very good point Abhay already said about the cultural nuances. That's a mistake one should never do. And second thing is they think that they can come direct. My suggestion would be come through partnership. Don't go direct. Learn with the partner, and if possible, continue with the partner over a period of time.
And एक चीज मैं तुम्हें सूरज को जल्दी से हिंदी में बता दूं एक प्रॉब्लम ये है आप प्लीज आप लोग अग्री डिसएग्री करना कि अहेड ऑफ टाइम ग्लोबल जाने की जरूरत नहीं है समटाइम नो पीपल स्टार्टअप की सबसे बड़ी गलती ये हो रही है कि समय से पहले कि चूंकि मुझे ग्लोबल जाना है मुझे बताना है कि इंटरनेशनली चालू हो गया हूँ और ये करके वो ये नहीं करते राज्य की तरफ रहते हैं सो दिस इज द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम आई हैव सीन so ahead of time नहीं करना is the first thing. And second, without understanding the market, if you are going to Singapore, then you have to understand the market, right? This is one thing I believe, and you're very young, so you are in initial journey of your career. That's why I shared this. Sir, please.
Myself, Sharan from Coimbatore. My question is now my startup is in the third year. We primarily do services, and when we are trying to expand, uh, coming back to the compliances, we feel that the compliances is dragging instead of expanding to other markets. Actually, most of the time I'm sitting with my finance team or my accounts team to settle GST and other compliances. There are a very lot of compliances that includes EFT, IESI, all those things. How to navigate that? That would be great help for most of the startups in India.
Compliances cannot be wished away. So the only way to navigate is to have solid finance people with you who can take away the load from you. So that you as a founder, you basically rely on them. And they come back to you saying, this work is done, or you are facing this difficulty, you need this kind of help, either financial help in engaging other experts, right? So having that is the most important thing. If you do not have that, then the problem is you will learn so much more about compliance and finance rather than running your business.
Yeah. Thank you.
I will just add one point here. We Indians or Asians, unfortunately, don't believe in giving money for suggestions. Please do give money to CAs and lawyers and move away from your work. And as he rightly said, I for GST and compliances and all that, as long as it's not a criminal offense, I would say, given a choice, I would focus on business, even if at a cost of small penalty if GST is getting affected. Not GST, I would say anything which is not that I'm promoting that should be done, but As a business, as you rightly said, first focus is business, rest will follow. And please give money to CAs and CS and lawyers. It took some time for me also, having said that. So my Mamaji, my mother's brother, he's a CA. And when I was young, I saw a small board on his desk. Lawyers and CAs are always giving free advice. And I was wondering what it really mean. It took me 6 years to read that board again, which was saying not free, but fee advice. Lawyers and CAs are giving fee advice. And very correct. I was in the same mentality. I would offload all my problems to him. And he being a busy guy, sometimes he would not be in a position to respond, or he would not have that knowledge and so on. And the things didn't really get done. And now I decided that here is the budget to my CFO and said, do whatever you need to. Don't come back to me saying I have a problem. Just come back to me with a solution. Having said that, just one more line I'll tell you. As a founder, as a CEO, you can never ever get away from understanding and doing finance and compliances. CAs, CS, and lawyers can only prescribe you and confuse you sometimes. You have to be aware on top of things, because business way of understanding accounts is different from books way of accounts.
I would like to answer the young entrepreneur over there. I would say before planning to expand globally and before doing the market research and everything, you need to ask yourself why you need to expand, because there is a lot of answers for that. So you have to find the right answer to see why do you need to expand.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
The conclusion of your question, the answer, you cannot do anything. You have to find good people and work on that, and you have to be aware of what's going on. Because you have to find good doctor, otherwise wrong medicine will destroy things. Yes, the last question.
Thank you. Very good morning. That was a wonderful insights. I'm the good doctor in my position. Right, so I'm a founder of a medical device company from Bangalore. We have the US patents and Indian patents, with the vision to become a global leader in medical devices. Received the Export Excellence Award from ESC as one of the. My question is, I wanted to understand the investment scenario in India when it comes to the critical technologies like medical devices. For example, if we launch some delivery app, food delivery app, I can validate the market within a week, creating an app, buying food and selling it and customer validation. But in case of the medical devices, it takes years and years and millions of dollars. And so the market validation comes after the investment. So I just wanted to understand what is the scenario in India when it comes to the medical devices.
Though we have next immediately after this, we have a panel for this topic only, investment funding, but still, Benjanji, if you want to address.
Having worked in healthcare quite a lot last 15, 20 years, I may not be fully aware about India's scenario currently, but you are still in a better off, because pharma and biotech is even more, long term. Medical device is 3 to 5 years gestation period.
I completely agree with you. I wish people understand what we do.
Having worked in, and that's why I said having worked in healthcare, that's why I took the mic to speak to you. So you need a lot of grants, number one. You need, but congratulations to you, whatever you have done so far, what you said, all the patents.
Thank you. Grant, Indo-US grant,
so
grant as well.
focus on grants for the initial phase. Go to targeted investment companies that only focus on medical device. Others will not understand, I can guarantee you. If you come to think of it, even though I personally, as a founder, I know, my investors don't know. I can't invest alone. I have to have investors. So even I would say we are not the right investment company. Go for targeted companies. Go for countries which are more faster in giving the patents and all. Like Singapore is very good for medical device, by the way. That's the thing.
Very
Thank you so much.
Very true, sir. You have to definitely find the right set of investors for you, and people who understand the business. Otherwise, you'll go to the institutional investors, angel investors, B2C, they will not understand, and you'll be demotivated, right? And you'll be very, very negative. I used to meet founders, they are very negative, but they don't understand they're going to the wrong people. So all investors are not investors. So you have to find good ones and the relevant ones, and you have to meet them. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so
thank
much.
you everyone for being here. It was great talking to you all. And thank you. Thank you everyone for being so patient and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause for all the panelists. Very much. May I request all the panelists to please come down so that we may have the presentation images. Then we'll quickly start the next session. May I request all of you to please settle down. I think we'll have enough opportunity to starting the next session because all the speakers of the next session to come on the stage. So, Sushil Sharma, Sushil ji, may I ask you to come? Friends, you will be happy to know Sharma is a long-standing member of the ESC, and he also heads the Rajasthan chapter of ESC. He is a of the council, and he is the architect of today's two sessions. Please give a big round of applause to him. Mr. Ghanshyam Ahuja will continue to be with us in this session as well. Mr. Ahuja, may I request you to be around? Sandeep Shastri, Ms. Shiran Then Gopsi, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correct. Shiran, please, Mr. Firas, Saiduddin, here. Mr. Vipul Kochar, may I request all of you to please settle down. We are about to start the session. Gentlemen, there, settle down. Sandeep Shastri will be moderating the session. So,
Well, very good morning to all of you. And
Such a pleasure to be moderating this session. First of all, thank you, Sushil, for inviting me and giving me the pleasure to moderate. I'm doing the easier part, which is asking the right questions to keep it engaging for all of you sitting here. The two international guests on this panel. We could start from the left, Mr. Firas, who is the Managing Director for Accelerated Growth. Then we have Vipul Ji, who's Vipul Kocherji, who's co-founder of Virtual Software. Then Sushil Sharma, all of you know, who's the founder of Margai Catalyst. And then we have Ms. Shirin, who's founder, CEO of Generative AI for Good. And then we have Sudhansha Mahoja, Managing Partner, Think08, which has already been there on the previous panel, I believe. So you have heard him, and now you'll have different views about the new topic, how investments in cross-border, trade is important. And so, firstly, I have a very generic kind of a question, and we'll start from you. That what are some of the most significant trends shaping cross-border startup investments today? What are your opinions on that?
So, first of all, good morning to everyone, and a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I would say one of the things that is really driving cross-border startup investments is the renewable energy aspect of a problem that we have all over the world. So, renewable energy is one aspect. The other aspect is basically how to address and solve issues across that humanity faces. And I want to summarize it with one really short word, which is the impact investment. Impact investment is something that brings everyone together across borders and internationally, ecologically, but also on a societal level. So we have issues in society across the world, and startups are driving, really a driving force in innovation and in solving societal issues, be it from health to other issues from integration, migration, etc. So, from this perspective, I believe these two aspects, with impact, positive impact, are driving the ecosystem.
Thank you so much. I believe that post 2020, there's a big shift in the mind that renewable energy and sustainability is a primary talk for startups and the future for every global country and how everybody in this world. So this is definitely what is required. Because you've been one of the starting members of startup, where the thought process of startups was from only Silicon Valley to now a Bareilly or a smallest town in India to Riyadh to all the global places. You don't know where the mushroom, the innovation, the thought is mushrooming from. So how important is it, how investments, cross-border investments are, what is your take on cross-border investments?
So, it's very interesting. Cross-border investment. So, investment, interesting. So, I'd like to give you an anecdote. Osho was once asked a question in his Viva that, what difference is there between Eastern and Western philosophy? And he told his interviewer that, you are wrong. There's nothing called Eastern or Western philosophy, there's only philosophy. So I would very much like to say there's only investment. Unfortunately, that's not true. Then, there is investment from outside India, and I highlighted in my previous comment about the challenges. Now, I'd like to say that how important it is to be a global player, to have, because when you get or you want to get global investments, you have to understand that market. You have to understand the psychology of the market. You have to understand why somebody who is operating in that market might be interested in you away from their primary place and so on. Would they trust you? And so when you go for these kind of investments and you are able to impress people and finally get those investments, it's a sort of validation as well that people trust you, trust your product, trust your vision. So for yourself, it can be a good validation, which is very comforting. And this I say as founder, co-founder of a startup who has got some investments from this. So that is as an as a startup co-founder. What happens is also this part that we talked about, which is culture. You begin to understand cultural nuances, and when you understand cultural nuances of different places, the way you communicate becomes much better. I will give you an example. There is an Indian startup in which I invested many years ago, and we had some investors from Europe and US as well. The founders would call us up, ask for our help, take our time, and so on. And none of the Indians, for example, really about how much time they were required to give. We gave our time. Tried doing it with their overseas investors. After a little while, one of them called me up and said, "Is it a very common practice? My time is at premium, and these guys expect me to do this or that for them." Right? So that was one. Second one said, "I'm not getting this information or that information in a very timely manner, or the accounts are not audited, or whatever." So that brought another aspect of this investment that you have to be more communicative and so on. So eventually it helps your company become better. So overseas investments also are helpful in this. So this is a one slice of different aspects that I talked about based on my recent experiences.
So much, sir, and I think the stories really help that what are the basic cultural differences that are there within an investor and startup, and what the kind of cultural knowledge is very important. Before we go on to Sushilji, I would jump to Shireen and briefly introduce her work first. So we'd like to play a small video. That's possible. Yeah, so short introduction, if you could talk about your company, and then just 1 second before you start. 1 second.
First of all, before it will run, I'd like to do a short introduction. So first of all, thank you. I'm very honored to be here today. I'm the founder of Generative AI for Good, and we are leveraging the Gen AI technology to address severe social issues. And I would like to start with a short question. How many of you are afraid from the AI? Wow, surprising. How many of you are using the chat GPTs, like Claude GPT, Gemini? Amazing. So, from my perspective, we all should be afraid from the AI, but also use on a daily basis with all these AI tools. And our unique perspective is not just to afraid and not just to use it for being more efficient, but to use this powerful tool, to use this superpower to have foster good and affect people's lives and even save lives. And today I want to show you what we did. I came with this idea like 4 years ago, before the hype of the ChatGPT and the generative AI. And I saw that there is amazing technology, AI, and I really want to hear the voices of the women that are not with us anymore. And what if we can hear their voices and hear the stories, what we as a society can learn of what's happened to them. So before we're going to show this video, a trigger warning, we're going to talk about maybe some taboo topics and also domestic violence. And now I want to introduce you to Michal Sela. Her case is one of the most famous and also infamous cases in Israel. Michal came from a loving family. She was beloved. She had many friends. She was a qualified social worker. However, 5 years ago, she stabbed to death by her husband in front of the 8 months old baby daughter. And for her family and close friends, this murder was a complete shock. But now I want you to hear what Michal has to say.
Play the video, please.
Sound?
Sound.
So I can tell you until we have the sound that Michal and other more 5 women from different backgrounds share her story, what's happened to them before they had been murdered. So they can share, yeah, you can hear that from her.
2019, I was murdered by the man who was my husband, killer Ivan Marie. And today, after I lost my life, I call him, listen to my voice. If you are in a relationship, or were in a relationship, and he is jealous and obsessive towards you, if you are afraid of his reaction to fighting for you, share it with a close person and a domestic violence expert who will help you separate safely and return. Listen to your gut feeling. Do it today. Listen to my voice. Listen to my voice.
That was the story of Michal, one of 5 women that fortunately participated in this project. And this was a tremendous success. It went very viral on social media. We've been all TV channels, including international like BBC and Reuters. We presented in the UN. Also, NATO reached out to me and wanted to present this in the headquarters in Brussels. And I wasn't sure how it's related to NATO, but they explained me how much it's important to use AI for women's safety. And then I understood that this technology is something new, completely new, and I decided to put all my time, all my efforts, and continue leveraging this technology to addressing severe social issues in a different domain. And I'm happy to share that we are working with companies like Meta, like Microsoft we discussed, across borders, and also I want to add cross sectors as well, especially as Faris mentioned, the impact investment. So also in the impact world, we should work together with a non-profit, with the government, and with the most innovative technology. So I would love to share more during this time. So thank you.
Thank you, Shireen, and that's a very impactful work that you're doing. And as a startup, we all believe that impact is the most important part in the society, and what solutions and what is the real future for it depends on how you're innovating and how you're thinking about taking it global. So very enlightening, and thank you so much for showing us what you're doing. Uh, Coming to Sushilji, could you just enlighten us a little bit about the geopolitical and economic shifts influence over cross-border startup ecosystem?
Samit, I think this is a very interesting topic, but although very different from my nature because geopolitics is something very different. I have not been more engaged, but what I believe is that places like Austria, places like Israel, and especially India, the kind of a cross-border relationship and the kind of mutual benefits for business is what we can generate, irrespective of whatever happening globally, is something which will be very, very relevant. And specifically in the events like India Soft, the way we have seen a lot of participation from Africa, which has always been a good opportunity cross-border doing a lot of businesses, has been a wonderful journey. I've done my first venture in 2012, exited in 2017, seen a 15x return in the environment. I think somebody who understands the larger, bigger market, I think the way we are inviting global people to come to India, we also need to go travel outside India for everyone. And when you know the market, it is easier to come inside and get benefited out of it. That's what was my statement.
Absolutely, but you talked over a decade before. So Do you think the cultural differences really were a problem or a hindrance when you were going into the African market, or was it an easy transition? What was that one solution that you found that you're comfortable doing business?
See, Samir, what I believe is that most of the people do not know what kind of opportunities are available. I think, irrespective of our cultural difference, there are certain very, very big advantages in the global market. They are super specialized in their own activity. I think cultural differences for me was not very important because, as an investor, you sometimes invest within the company who already knows about the ecosystem within itself. So I think for us it is going inside, packaging it well, probably connecting them to a global market because there are really a good demand in multiple places if you can connect the right dots. So having said that, after traveling to 40 countries, it was always easier for me to connect the different dots in different countries. Some good products that plug in the right place. I think it is always good to do it. And that's what is the role sometimes the strategic investors do when they associate in the investments.
So, coming to you, Shireen, once again, um, my question to you is, what are the emerging regions and industries in your country specifically, and what should investors be watchful for cross opportunities? What is your opinion on that?
I think that in Israel we have an advantage actually because we are a very small market. So from day one we are thinking how to go globally, and we have a very strong network also because of the immigration wave that coming to Israel, and it's very very important for us. So this is our state of mind in day one. There is advantage to be small, and want to leverage it. And about the market, the global market, also what we can see here with all the geopolitics, and there is a lot of attraction to cyber, as you can imagine. And also I can share, you probably saw it as well, there is Google acquired lately Wiz. It's a cyber company. It was her biggest purchase for Google. She acquired Wiz, cyber Israeli company, for $32 billion. So it's a very big amount of money. And as you can see here in cyber and all the AI and all this area, we have a strong advantage there because also for us, we are from the very young age of 18, we are have to serve in the military. And as part of that, we have elite tech units. So many people in the very young age start the first step in the cyber, in the AI, data collection, and also other defense techs as well. So we see a strong advantage for us, first of all, to be leaders in those fields of cyber, AI, and so on, and the defense tech, of course, unfortunately, I have to say. And also because to have those kind of cross-border collaboration, this is our mentality. So we are not selling inside the country, we are thinking global. And also I believe and I can see that India is very strong and very important market for us as well.
So much. So the next question for you, Ghanshyamji, like you run a single venture fund in Singapore, that's what I could understand. So my question is, what do startups face when they're navigating the cross-border funding, and how can they mitigate these risks? Your personal, some story that could enlighten us more on this topic.
Before I go to that question, very similar points about Israel. Singapore also is a small country, as you know, and we have learned about military from Israel. If you are aware, all boys in Singapore, if you are not aware, have to go compulsory through 2 years national service. I have two boys, both have gone through that, thanks to the training from Israel long back. So Singapore, like Israel also, being a small country, is always known as a test bed. And hence, we are taught from the beginning that we have to go global. So that's one from the outside, right? Singapore to out. Coming to your question about the points and pitfalls, what it can happen for cross-border and coming to. So we already spoke earlier about the cultural aspects. That's one. Second thing that the biggest mistake people do is that even I'll tell you one story of since you mentioned story. I invested in a company in Pune which was into marketing technology, and they almost spent $300,000 entering US market. And I stopped that investment. I said, nothing going. It's not working. Don't fool around yourself and thinking that we can do on our own by investing $400,000 on business development activities. Rather, go for a partner, give 10% extra margin to that partner. So go for partnerships. That's very, very important. Don't try to jump directly. That's my number two advice to any pitfall, which actually I have seen happening in one of my investment companies. And finally, I took away investment from that company and sold to Netco, another company in Mumbai. The third thing is the earlier aspect what you are asking. Generally, the reasons why people should go outside is for four reasons: industry, technology, returns, right, from the investment perspective, if I may say, and the customers who force you to go overseas. Like if I'm supporting Adani or Reliance or Tata, and if they are going overseas and they want me to help them as a startup, then it's the right way for me to go direct. Otherwise, I should go with partners. That's my feeling.
Put that, if you're entering cross borders, getting the right partner definitely mitigates the risk. Finding a local partner helps you evaluate cultural options, investment options in a better manner and maneuver your company in a better direction. And it's always said that, one person can never, the unity is there when a lot of people get together and put their brains behind one mission, so that is when it becomes successful. Coming to you, because what do you think about investors assessing their and managing their regulatory risk when investing across borders? So if you were supposed to, so hypothetical situation, if you were supposed to invest in India, partner with India, what all aspects will you be looking at?
Maybe first off, just very briefly about Austria. So Austria, we love our Schnitzels, as you know, but we also love our startup policies. It's great. This is something that I've missed in the beginning. It's great to be part of a delegation, Austrian delegation, of a trade commission that is extremely active, where we are really leveraging the bridge that is being built in Austria. Thanks also to an initiative from the Indian government. So this is something on a very positive note, and I'm highly impressed by the dynamics that I see here in the startup ecosystem. So really great to be here. On the regulatory question, I think what is really crucial is to rely on the ecosystems that and the expertise that is already existing. Let's take the example of Austria and India. So we have Austrian startups wanting to move over and expand into the Indian market and vice versa. It will be critical to leverage really expertise that is available in different fields, starting with cultural awareness. So the culture part of it, for a startup that is entering a completely new market, it would be really wise to work with experienced mentors and coaches, which in the ecosystems exist. We had a few on the panel before, so that is really important. What we need also to take into account is that the risk appetite is different in different countries. So as a startup from Austria moving to India, seeking sales in this and seeking investment, I need to be aware of how risk averse or how risk appetite is available in the culture that I'm addressing, that I'm entering. So work with experts, work with ecosystems that already exist, coaches, and use, it has been mentioned on the panel before, specifically for those startups, use grants. In Austria there is a ton of grants, and Austria is known for two things. One thing is the density that it has in terms of startups relative to the population. So a lot of startups worldwide leading in that density aspect. Yeah? And yeah, we might have a little bit of bureaucracy, but the good thing is we do have a ton of grants specifically for startups and investors coming from abroad to enter the Austrian market. So use those startups, use those coachings, mentorships. Some of them even are free, such as offered by the Vienna Business Agency, the vocation agency of Vienna, and use also the events, which there is one called Vienna Up. It's a startup festival happening in the beginning of May. I really invite you, everyone, to look at it and consider coming to Austria. It is definitely worth your while. It's one of the biggest startup shows in Europe. So Vienna Up. Thank you
so much, and thank you for enlightening us that we have grants available. And so just the food of thought for everyone, just to all of you are investors and all of you have got investments. What is easier, getting investment or right mentorship? It's an open question to all. But before that, I would request you all to kindly put your phones on silent. That really disturbs the thought for the investors sitting here who's trying to guide you all. So it's a sincere request. Please put your phones on silent once. Thank you. Your question was, what is easier, investment or mentorship? So getting an investment for a startup easier or getting the right mentorship is, if I am a startup, you're saying, what is important, what is easier for me? Definitely mentorship is easier, but if I flip it other way around, the problem with a lot of startup founders is their attitude. I can tell you there are tons of people ready to give good advice. Startup founders, like I'm sure the way you're laughing, maybe they have attitude that I know everything. Why do I need some mentor and guide for XYZ? They don't, and I believe in only one thing. Like in today's meeting, all of you are here, even if 5 people were to be sitting, we'll be talking same way. Because I believe one thing, that even if I learn one point today, which can change my life, I wish I was given this kind of trainings 25 years back when I was young. I really wish I would have been much different. So the important thing is mentorship is easily available, not easily taken. Other way around. Investment is definitely difficult. You have to prove, but it's not as difficult as it sounds. There are tons of money, but good money is available for a very good founder who are having perseverance to continue. I asked this question to my founders: how many years you cannot take salary? Tell me. How many years, if you are a bachelor? I even ask, are you going to get married? When? After marriage, do you think things will change? For one of my startup where I invested in Singapore, things changed after my CTO got married, who was 40% owner of the company. Finally, company failed. Wife clearly said, no more startup, $4,000, $5,000, go and work for a bank. That's it.
Very interesting question, what you just asked, because I think for me, good advice is very important, but there are many advice out there, too many exactly, and we need to choose carefully the advice. So also when before I want to do the penetration to a new market, so it's very important. For example, India, it's a good example. We here as part of the Israeli delegation that's organized by a colleague of mine, Noah, sitting here and taking photos, so say hello. And when I have any question and I want a good advice for somebody who's familiar with India, so first of all, it's important for me that to find kind of a trustee advisor that I know I can trust on, and I know he can give me good advice. But this is the first level, because sometimes even this person needs to ask his colleague inside the country, like inside India. So this is going to be the first outreach for this trustee advisor that will assist me inside the country. So I think there are, like what I mean, there are like kind of two trustee advisors. One that's more familiar with my culture, and then the other one that's also familiar with the other similar, very, very important, because this is the first step to make the trustee advisor, and then the second phase of the local trustee advisor. So thank you for all of you for this important panel and this very important delegation and forum.
So Samir, your question was like whether the investment is easier or a founder becoming. I think I may be the right relevant person to answer this because I've been a backbencher to a failure founder, to a successful founder, to an angel investor, to an ecosystem player now. So I think I give an example of a movie. So a founder is more like a hero. You know, he's available, everybody feels him as a celebrity, but the money and the advantage is to the producer. So I think with seeing all the roles technically, I saw the strategical investors is the best place to be in. Not only an investor, but strategical investor specifically, and I think that's the reason I chose to be an accelerator, because mentoring with purpose is always an easy, because you have a choice whether you fail or pass, because specifically when you reach an investor, you have money in the pocket. So I think, having said that, this is what the role we have opted finally. We all had an option.
And finally, the architect of today's two sessions, Mr. Sushil Sharma. Big round of applause for him.
क्रिकोनेट का वीडियो ऑन करो ना एक बार क्रिकोनेट का वीडियो ऑन करो आओ इधर एक बार जल्दी फिर चला दिया ना ऑडियो ऑन करके क्रिकोनेट का कुछ तो चला दिया ना स्क्रीन पे एडवर्टाइजमेंट इसका ऐड कर बता दो पकड़ो इसको लोड भी रिटर्न भाई 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 ये अवार्ड से नहीं है सेकंड सेशन है अवार्ड होगा ना मैं शेड्यूल कर दूँ अवार्ड के लिए कर दे रहा हूँ मैं ठीक है
Ladies and gentlemen, may I request all of you to please settle down. We have something more to accomplish. This is my sincere request. Please, all of you, please settle down. Please settle down for a moment. This is my sincere request.